Hello, my name is Scully. This is my second video talking about transcreation. And in this particular video, I want to talk about the impact that getting transcreation right or wrong can have on a brand communicating appropriately to their consumers in market, and whether they beat their competition or not in talking to those consumers. So again, we look on transcreation as being a translation activity focused on not being faithful to the source, but making sure that the marketing objective that was focused on in the home market is reached in the target local market as well. So I'm just going to go through some examples of how this challenge is becoming greater for brands, because these days it's not just about how good the quality of your textual marketing message is, but also how your visual message is, whether it's through graphical images or video, but then also how culture and the experience of the user of your global content can impact your success in market. So let's just look at two examples here. First of all, on the left is Coors. This is, I suppose, one of these typical examples you'll find online of where localization gone bad. And in this case, very bad localization of a tagline for a campaign called "Turn It Loose." And unfortunately, in local markets in Mexico, it was implying that drinking Coors could make you suffer from diarrhea, which is not a message you really want to be associated your brand with. But let me ask you a question then on the right. Why did this diaper packaging not work with parents in Japan? Well, the reason why it didn't work and why it confused parents is that the stork mythology doesn't exist in Japan. So the question would have been, well, why is there a big bird flying through the air carrying diapers or nappies? Let's just move on and ask you to take a look at the copy from two different websites. Both of them are selling whole bean coffee from Costa Rica. Both of them taking slightly different approaches. And I would ask you, which of these would you more likely buy your coffee from? Again, presuming you're a coffee buyer or drinker. And in a way, from a marketing perspective, either one is valid, because it's all about knowing who your consumer is, who your target audience is, and personalizing the message to it. And the copy on the left is very much more straight to the point, whereas the one on the right, is telling more of a story. And again, each of the two brands selling these coffees have personalized the message to the respective audience. And the question is, well, when you bring that to a global audience, how are you going to try and achieve the same type of outcome across all of those markets? But let's take that a bit further and talk about beyond the text. Here, the same two web pages that the copy from the previous slide was taken from. A very different user experience looking at these. The one on the left is very much focused on the transaction and getting to sell you coffee very quickly, whereas on the right with Starbucks, there's a much richer brand experience, much richer user experience, and if you were to go down further through that particular web page, a lot more rich visuals and textual information around the coffee that you're buying and the experience you're having with the brand. And again, it's not that one is better than the other. It's two brands very much targeting their audience in a very particular way. In the same way, which copy would entice you to part with over $500 for a scarf? Again, if you're so inclined. And again, there isn't necessarily a right or wrong here, but the copy on the left comes directly from the Burberry website, where the copy on the right is somebody reselling the same scarf on eBay. So again, the copy on the left is much more of a personalized message, part of a richer brand experience. But marketers and e-commerce managers and advertisers, really focus in on how much impact does copy have on the actual ROI of the marketing campaign or the ad campaign they're driving, and is it selling more products? And when you go to the global markets, in particular around the e-commerce, if you transcreate versus do more of a straight marketing localization, you can quickly measure what your return on that investment is. If your transcreated content is helping you beat the competition 10% more, 20% more, that's obviously a much more desirable place to be. But let's go further with the theme of, well, it's not just about whether the transcreated text works within market. It's also about the user experience, the brand experience from a visual perspective. So here's an example where the visual tone, the visual flair is tuned for different markets for this Adidas homepage. But beyond the culture of the local market or the branding in the local market, something else to be aware of when you're transcreating your content is what's going on around the world. What season are we in? So this example on screen with Coca-Cola is a selection of homepages of Coca-Cola from the one day from all around the world. It just happened to be before Christmas, and some local markets very much promote that, but then others don't, or they have to modify that message with the very fact that it's summer. So Brazil and Australia, it's Christmas, but it's still summer. Whereas in other markets where the Christian holiday of Christmas isn't so much a prominent feature, the Christmas in itself is de-emphasized. So making sure that your content is timely and seasonal becomes very important. So it really comes back to, again, for me, making sure you're thinking beyond your home market. The principle of trying to succeed with your marketing campaign and your ad campaign, invest appropriately to drive return on your investment across all your local markets. And again, for me, that's where transcreation can come in terms of driving great textual content, great visual content, take on the cultural nuances, create a great local user experience. And at the end of the day, for you as a brand, beat your competition locally. So again, thank you for your time. If you want to reach out and find out more, there's lots of contact channels here. Thank you.